Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany. If you're new here, I am an expat living in Greece, and today I'm going to tell you how to plan your trip to Greece. There are a lot of things to talk about, but first I'm going to talk about when you should come to Greece. Now, obviously, a lot of people only can come when their kids are out of school or when their company gives them vacation, right? So you don't have a choice sometimes. But if you do have choices, then here are some of my recommendations. In my opinion, the very best month to come is September. The water is warmest then, the temperatures have cooled down a little bit, so it's not so swelteringly hot. There are a lot less people here in September because a lot of people can only come in July and August because of their kids are out of school then, and so there are less people. If you want to stretch that even further, you can go in and stay in October. Also, nice month to come. We do occasionally have rain in October, but it's very rare and it usually doesn't last very long. And the water is still really nice and the temperature is still really warm. Now, you may be thinking, well, Tiffany, I don't want to come in the fall. I want to come in the spring. Well, it's a nice time to come. It's just that you may not get to swim if going to the beach is your objective, because the water just may not be warm enough for you. It is not warm for this Texas girl. So I don't really swim until about June. That's actually the earliest I've ever swam in Greece. Now, if you're coming from, say, Ireland or the UK and cold water swimming doesn't bother you, come on down. If you want to avoid the crowds, like I said, don't come in July and August. Now, if you're a skier, then you might want to come in the winter. You might want to come in January and February because that's when it does snow here. Yes, it snows in Greece. And that's when the ski resorts probably have the most snow. Now, I am not a skier, so I don't know any more than that. Another thing that a lot of people are like, well, how long should I come for? And again, some of us only have a limited amount of vacation, and so you can only come for, say, 7 days or a week, whatever you want to call it. And you can still see a lot in a week. It does depend on what you want to do, but my recommendation is come for at least 7 days, 10 if you can, and if you really can go wild, stay for 14 days. So what 7 days will allow you to do is come to Athens and stay in Athens for 2 or 3 days, and you can either do 1 day in the beginning and 1 day in the end, or 2 days at the end, or you can do them all together depending on how you like to travel, and then you can hit an island. Now, I say 1 island if you're coming for 7 days, maybe 2 if they're close by. But if you're going to islands that you can only reach by ferry, then you have to consider that you really only have 5 days because the first day of your trip is a travel day and the last day of your trip is a travel day, getting back and forth to your home country. And then factor in a ferry, which depending on how far you're going can be anywhere from 3 to 6 or even longer hours on the ferry. So plus you've got to consider you've got to pack up your stuff at the hotel. You need to get to the ferry port about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour, depending on which ferry port it is. And then you're going to spend another half an hour when you get to the next island getting to your hotel. So you kind of waste a half a day or sometimes even more traveling from one island to another. Now, if you're a person that likes to just go, and that doesn't bother you, then go for it. Go to 2 islands in Athens if you come for 7 days. I personally would hate it. If you can come for 10 days, you can easily do 2 islands. You can do 3 if you hit 2, such as Naxos and Paros that are close by. That's a 30-minute ferry ride. So it can be done, and if you, like I said, if you're a person who doesn't mind going really quickly and maybe only staying 1 or 2 nights in each place, then you can probably hit, Athens and 3 islands in that 10-day trip. If you can do 2 weeks, then you're golden. You can probably see Athens and maybe spend a little bit longer in each island, see 3, see 4. If you go to 2 that are nearby, you might even be able to hit 5. Again, it's not for me, but I do understand that sometimes coming to Greece may be your one chance to come here, so I totally get it. Where to go? That's probably the biggest question I get asked, and also I see it asked in other Greece travel groups, and I get it. There are over 200 inhabited islands to choose from, and that doesn't include all the amazing places on the mainland and on the Peloponnese to go see. So how do you choose? I'm gonna sort of briefly cover some of the places that I like for specific things But this is just to give you an idea of things you need to think about when you're considering a destination. One is, do you want a city? Because there are not a lot of big cities in Greece. Athens, obviously, Thessaloniki, there's Patras, which is on the western side of Greece, in the Peloponnese, or Syros. And maybe if you went to some of the larger islands like Crete or Rhodes, they have bigger cities. Now, you'll hear people say, oh, what about the cities in Santorini? There are no cities in Santorini. They're all really small towns and villages. If you want city life, going to an island may not be the best option for you. Do you want a beach vacation? Because a lot of people come and they want to go to the beach while they're here. Well, a lot of people come and they want to go to Santorini. But unless you like rocky beaches, Santorini is not a beach destination. Of course, it's stunningly beautiful and it has all the blue and white houses, but I'm here to tell you that many islands also have blue and white houses, but they also have amazing beaches. So some of my favorites include Ios, which is actually really close to Santorini and is stunningly beautiful. And if you come in September, it's pretty much empty because it is a big party destination in the summer for EU university students, but obviously they're gone by September. Another one that I love, and if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, that you know that I love, Naxos. And it has some of the best beaches in Greece along with Ios. And really, if you wanted to, you could do those two together. Now, I would say if your heart is set on Santorini because this is your only trip to Greece, then you should go. Like I said, it's stunningly beautiful and you won't regret it. It will be crowded almost any time of the year that you go that is a tourist time. If you come in the off season, you'll be very lucky and you will get to see it without any tourists. I've actually been there both in tourist season and last year I visited outside of tourist season and it was lovely. And if you want to know all the things that you can do while you're in Santorini, I have an ebook that is available to purchase on my website, and it gives you 1, 3, and 5 day itineraries. So you get all of the options of all the things that you can do. And it will make your trip a little bit more enjoyable because you won't have to do any of the planning. I even have hotels listed in it, so you don't even need to worry about where you're going to stay. And the link for that is down in the description box below. And soon I will be having one come out about Athens, and that will also be linked below. What if you want history? Say, Tiffany, forget beaches, forget nightlife. I want to see some ancient ruins and all of that. So first of all, Athens is a great option. And don't just come and spend one day here because there are so many things to see in Athens. A lot of people come, they only go to the Acropolis and then they leave. And there are great museums here, and there's almost archaeological ruins to be found everywhere, literally everywhere. So really great option. Another really great option, if you want to either drive or take the public bus, you can go to the town of Delphi. Delphi is up in the mainland, but it is still somewhat relatively close to the sea. It's probably an hour from Delphi to the sea, so you could do both. And Delphi, in my opinion, is the best archaeological site that I have been to so far here in Greece. It's very large, and it's just impressive that they've made this city basically on a hill, a mountainside in ancient times. So, and it has some amazing stories. And if you've ever seen the movie, My Life in Ruins, they go and visit Delphi. And I've been there too, so I'll put a link down to my video from Delphi so you can see for yourself what it's like. And a lot of the mainland towns do have a lot of history, and a lot of the islands do too. A great option is to go to Delos. Now, you can't stay on Delos. Delos is an uninhabited island, but if you're staying in Mykonos, Paros, Naxos, even probably Tinos, you can go visit Delos on a day trip. The whole island is an archaeological site, and it's really, really amazing to see. What if you're like, I don't know if I want to get on a ferry. I don't really want to be too far from Athens because I'm afraid to, venture too far out and then maybe not be able to get back to Athens for my flight home. Or you just don't want to go that far. Maybe you're just happy as a clam being super close to Athens. So there are lots of options. One is to just stay in Athens because we have plenty of beaches here. And if you want to, you can go really far down the coast and still be relatively close to Athens. In fact, a public bus ride in or a public bus ride into the metro station if you go down to Vouglameni. There's stunning beaches down there. There is also something called Vouglameni Lake down there that is sort of a mixture of seawater and spring water, and it is warm most of the year, and it's really, really nice. It's sort of a luxury splurge as well. And then there are islands that are really close to Athens. They're either a short ferry ride away, or some of them you can even drive to. So you can drive to the island of Poros. If you want to drive a little bit further, you can drive to Evia. Some Greeks will tell you it's not really an island, but we're not going to get into that here. Some of my favorite islands that are close to Athens that have very close ferry right away, either on a slow ferry or a fast ferry. For beaches, Aegistri, my personal favorite. If you want to sort of have Greek island life feel and sort of feel like you're in the thick of it, is Aegina. Aegina is happening. There's lots of stuff going on. There are lots of people. It's great for people watching. They do have some beaches. Some of the nicer ones are just like you jump off into the water, but it's still really nice, especially if you're here in the summer and it's really, really hot. The other thing you want to know, I'm sure you're asking, is how do I get to all these places that you're talking about, Tiffany? There are a few options here in Greece. You can fly. There are some islands that do have airports. Santorini is one of them. Some of, obviously Crete, Corfu, Rhodes, even some of the smaller Cycladic islands have airports. Naxos, Paros, Milos even has an airport, but some of them just don't. They don't have the terrain for it. Eos does not have an airport, so your only option then is to take a ferry. But the caveat to all that is, so let's say you fly from Athens to Santorini, and then you want to go to Naxos. You cannot fly from Santorini to Naxos. You can fly from Santorini to Crete and to Rhodes, but pretty much in the Cycladics or up in the islands that are nearer to Athens, you won't be able to fly to them. So my suggestion is that if you're going to, say, Athens and Santorini, is you go to Athens, you fly to Santorini, and then you take a ferry to your next island if you're doing more than one, and then you just slowly work your way back to Athens. So let's say you go to Santorini, you go to Naxos, you go to Syros, and if you have another bit of time, then maybe you can hit something else on the way. Probably not, because I think Syros may be depending on which ferry line you take, it may be the last stop before Piraeus. It's something you want to keep in mind, especially when you're making your travel plans, because you don't want to sit there and go, wait, I wanted to go here, but I can't go here by plane. So I'm putting up on the screen now an app that I use called Ferry Hopper, and this is where I also book my tickets for all my ferries in Greece. But they have this really great app that shows you, if you click on the island that you want to go to, let's say Syros, it will then show you all of your options to go from there, what island it goes to from there. And then you can click on that next island and it'll say, oh, okay, you want to go to Tinos next. Then it'll show you everywhere in Tinos that you can go to from there. Some islands do have more than one ferry port, not very many, but some of them. So that's something you want to keep in mind. Look at the name of the ferry port. If there's more than one, they'll have different names, and then you need to look on the map and see if that's where you want to be, because some of them are very far apart. Aegina is one of them. One is from the western side of the island and one is from the eastern side of the island, and there's nothing wrong with either one. They're just very different. One is like sort of in the countryside and has really nice beaches, and the other one's in the town. So it's something you want to consider. There are also 3 ferry ports in Athens. They're not technically all in Athens, but it's what we say. So there's Piraeus, which is where most of the ferries leave from that go to, say, Santorini. Then there are Lavrio and Rafina. And some of the islands that are closer to Athens only leave, like Kea. You can only get to Kea directly from Lavrio. Now you might be able to go to another island and then go back to Kea, but that defeats the purpose of going there, because part of the reason to go to Kea is it's close. So I've talked about all the basics that you need to know and giving you some really small suggestions, because trust me, I haven't even scratched the surface yet. But I know there are lots of other questions. One is, where should I fly back from, Tiffany? Well, a lot of times it's cheaper to fly in and out of the same place. So most people fly into Athens if they're coming from, let's say, the US. If you're coming from Europe, sometimes you can fly to the major island airports like Santorini or Crete, Corfu, Rhodes. All of those have airports that make stops from other European airports, so it's a little bit easier for you to plan. My suggestion is that if you're flying to and from Athens, is that you come back to Athens the day before your flight, because Greece is known for its strikes, and ferries, when there's bad weather, cannot always go, or maybe you don't want to be on the ferry if it's really, really rough. They do cancel ferries if it gets above a certain level of wind. So it's happened to me. Only once has a ferry been canceled for me because of wind when I've been traveling. Now I see it happen all the time. So it's just something that you have to consider because you can't control the weather, and there would be nothing worse than missing your flight because of weather. So just keep that in mind when you're scheduling your ferry or your flight to come back to Athens. Occasionally, like when we had the snow in February, occasionally flights get canceled too. And like I said, Greece likes to strike, and those sometimes do get announced in advance and sometimes they don't. So it's something that if you're here, just keep your your eyes out. And usually if you've booked your ferry tickets already and you've given them your contact details, they will contact you sometimes. They don't always, but sometimes. But if you wake up and the weather is bad, check with them or check with your hotel. They can tell you. Two more important things about traveling to Greece. One is if you're not coming from the EU and you're not coming from the US and maybe some other Western countries, I don't know them all, you don't need a visa to come to Greece, but a lot of countries do. And if you're coming to Greece, you're gonna need what they call a Schengen visa. I personally haven't had to apply for one yet, so I don't know the whole ins and outs of it. Now, in 2023, they're announcing this new program, and it's not a visa, but it's more like a, hey, you need to register and let us know that you're coming, and that is going to apply to US citizens. So I'm gonna find the link for that and put it below, or at least more information, so that way next year, if you're coming to Greece, then you can do that. Now this was supposed to happen in 2021, so there is a small chance that if you're seeing this video later in the year or next year, then maybe it didn't happen. Another thing that I get asked about all the time is money. Should I get money, euros, in the US or wherever I'm coming from before I come to Greece? Now, I don't do that. I always get my euros from an ATM and just go with the flow, because your bank is going to get you the best rate possible. Now, if you're not comfortable not having euros in your pocket when you arrive, then go to your bank in your home country and order euros in advance. Do not come and exchange your money at a money exchange place. It's probably the worst rate that you can possibly get. And right now, you can't really walk into a bank and do that. I mean, you can, but with all the restrictions that I'm not going to talk about, getting into a bank right now is slightly difficult. There are long lines, and that's the other thing. The bank lines are always really long here in Greece. So just tell your bank that you're traveling, or your credit card company, so that you can use that overseas and not have to worry about, where am I going to get money from? And for some reason, my camera decided to just stop filming. So if you have any questions, please ask me in the comments below. And I have another video coming up here on the screen called All the Things You Should Know Before Traveling to Greece that might help you answer some of these questions. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.